Good evening and welcome to the May 16th San Bruno Planning Commission meeting. Roll call, please.
Chair Marie Kayal.
Present.
Vice Chair Kevin Chase. Commissioner Rick Biasotti.
Here.
Commissioner Mary Lou Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Perry Petersen.
Here.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Biasotti, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Of course. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2 on the agenda, communications from staff.
No additional communications this evening.
Thank you. Item number 3, public comment on items not on the agenda. Individuals may speak.
Through the chair.
Yes, Commissioner Petersen.
A point of information, would we
Yes.
be doing approval of the minutes?
Apologies. Thank you, Commissioner Petersen, for bringing that to my attention. Skipping a little bit ahead there. Item 1 on the agenda, approval of the minutes.
Move we approve the minutes?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We've already reviewed communications. Third, public comment on items not on the agenda. Individuals may speak in 3-minute segments, groups attending in 5 minutes for any items that they wish to be heard on. However, the Brown Act does prohibit discussion of these items if they are not agendized. Number 4, announcement of conflicts of interest. Any? No? All right. Item 5A, the Capital Improvement Program budget. There has been a request for a continuance by staff of this agenda item to our meeting of June 6th. I'm looking for a motion.
Yes, please.
I move
Sure.
that we continue item capital improvement program budget 5A to the meeting of June 6, 2017.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion carries. This item is continued to June 6th. Next on the agenda, item 6A, 528 Maple Avenue. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Michael Smith, Planning Department staff. The subject property, 528 Maple, is located on Maple Avenue between Genevin and Park Avenue in the Mills Park subdivision. The property is currently developed with a 1-story single-family dwelling that contains 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and approximately 1,182 square feet of living space. The original garage of this home has been converted into a utility room and a kids' playroom. Immediately adjacent to the subject property are single-family dwellings. The applicant is proposing to construct a 454 square foot addition to the rear of the home, minor addition at the front entry, and a 408 square foot vertical addition, adding a total of 872 square feet to the existing home. The playroom would also be converted back into a garage as part of this project. The first and second story decks are also proposed for the structure. The project requires a use permit authorization because it would increase the gross floor area of the existing home by greater than 50%, 73% to be exact. If approved and constructed, the residence would become a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom dwelling with approximately 2,054 square feet of floor area, including the garage. The project would reclad the building in horizontal hardy plank siding with shingles at the vertical addition. All windows would be replaced with white vinyl windows by Milgard to give the building a cohesive appearance. The Architectural Review Committee reviewed this project at its April meeting and forwarded the project to the Planning Commission with several recommendations. All but one of these has been implemented in the plans before you. The only one that wasn't was a window is still missing on the side elevation, which will be corrected. The department mailed hearing notices to neighbors within 300 feet of the subject property, and staff received a comment from a neighbor who was concerned that the property would be rented out to multiple tenants because the owner does not reside in the building. Additionally, at the ARC meeting in April, a neighbor expressed her general support for the project but concern about surface drainage impacting her property located downhill to the east of the subject property on Cherry Avenue. Staff finds that the design of the addition complies with the residential design guidelines because it would be well integrated with the existing single-family dwelling in using consistent materials throughout the structure, and it has nice gabled roofs that have the same pitch. And so therefore, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the use permit request based on findings 1 through 6 and subject to conditions of approval 1 through 24. And this concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions for staff?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Petersen.
On page 2 under public comment, it says the applicant explained the type of drainage system he was proposing and clarifying the building code requirement regarding drainage. How did the applicant clarify the building code regarding drainage? Was it not clear?
Well,
I'm trying to figure
the
it
building
out.
code does require that you, all drainage remain on-site, so it can't flow off-site at all. So I think that was clarified at the meetings to address the neighbor's concern. And then also, he went into a little bit of depth about the type of drainage system that was proposed for the site.
So actually didn't clarify the building code, he clarified how he was proposing to address the drainage requirement, right? Is that the idea, I mean?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else for staff? All right. We're going to open the public hearing. Is the applicant here? Please step forward and tell us about your project.
Mark Bucarelli, architect. So with regard to the drainage, it's a downslope lot, so we'll probably end up with a French drain system in the rear yard. And, we'll certainly cover that in the construction drawings. So if you have any questions other than that.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Petersen.
Who will design the French drain system? Will it be a registered engineer?
If the city requires it, sure. I mean, I've been covering the drainage lately, but if Public Works, wants a civil involved, then we'll certainly do that.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Johnson.
I just wanted to ask about construction and driveways and blocking areas, that's taken into consideration. It was brought up by a homeowner in the area, and so I just wanted to, for the record, just to make note of that and that you are aware that's an important component.
Sure. I think the building department will issue standard construction hours, and
It wasn't
part
just
of
the
the
hours, but it
conditions.
was crossing driveways and blocking areas. So I just would like you to be aware of that. It wasn't a complaint, it was just a concern.
I see.
Anything else for the applicant? Anyone from the, I'm sorry. Is the applicant, are you concluded with your presentation?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the public wishing to be heard on this? No? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public hearing, bring it back to the committee, the commission.
Through the chair,
Commissioner Chase.
if nobody has any questions or concerns this time about the project, I'll make a motion to, let me get the right one, to approve use permit 020-232-250. Oh, wrong one, I'm sorry. Use permit 17-001. Findings of fact, sorry about that. Should have been a little more prepared, huh? Findings of fact, 1 through 6, subject to conditions of approval, 1 through 24.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There is a 10-day appellate period before you can begin work on the project. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is 6B, 1161 San Mateo Avenue. Staff report, please.
Michael Smith, Planning Department staff. You have before you a request that comes from Gava's Auto Body for a use permit to allow to establish an auto body repair shop within a 4,000 square foot industrial building located at 1161 San Mateo Avenue. The subject property is located on the west side of San Mateo Avenue between Scott and Atlantic Avenues within the M1 district. The property is currently developed with a one-story commercial building that includes a mezzanine level. The subject building was formerly occupied by a forklift repair business, but is currently vacant. Gava's Auto Body is an existing business located at 1177 San Mateo Avenue, which is the adjacent property to the north of the subject property. This request is for expansion of the current use of 1177 into the subject building. Gava's Auto Body has been in operation for over 35 years here in San Bruno, and the applicant took ownership of the business in 2006. The owner of Gava's Auto Body proposes opening an auto body repair shop that will conduct light body repair at the subject property. The majority of the interior space of the building, which is approximately 3,271 square feet, will be dedicated to light auto body repair, which includes removing damaged vehicle parts, repairing the vehicles using Bondo, which is a putty, and replacing the new parts on the vehicles. Only air hoses are needed at this location to power the workers' tools. If a vehicle requires painting, it will be brought, or detailing, it will be brought next door to their existing location at 1177. So that would not take place on the subject property. The project would provide 3 off-street parking spaces located in front of the subject building that will be reserved for customers. Staff sent a legal notice to all property owners within 300 feet of the subject property, and no public comments were received. Because Gava's Auto Body has operated next door without becoming a nuisance, would provide sufficient on-site parking for the use that's proposed, and would occupy a vacant commercial building, staff feels comfortable in recommending approval of the request pursuant to findings 1 to 3 in the staff report and conditions of approval 1 through 18. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions for staff?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Biasotti.
Michael, just so I'm clear, both facilities are going to be operated as one business, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it's basically just an expansion of existing uses right there?
Correct.
Okay.
We supported the project because of that, and that hopefully that, the consolidation of the businesses will help manage the cars even better than they are.
I just wanted to make sure my understanding was clear. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Anything else for staff?
Through the chair.
Commissioner Petersen.
This site has been more general business oriented than auto oriented. Did the staff consider that this will substantially increase the auto oriented businesses in this area?
Well, it would, to answer your questions, we did consider it. This wouldn't introduce a new business. It would be an expansion of the existing business that is next door.
Thank you.
And the site was previously occupied by a forklift repair shop. So that is a business that is similar in nature.
So the subject site is 1161 San Mateo Avenue, And it says in the picture, baby world and baby furniture.
Yeah.
Yes, so you were emailed the correct
The correct
photos. Yeah, the correct photos for
Oh, I didn't receive any emails.
that. Okay. Yeah, I sent out an email on Friday with the
Oh,
corrected.
so this is actually where Gava's really is, rather than where these pictures indicate.
Correct, yes. So, again, so those are incorrect, and so shortly after you received the hard copies, an email came out shortly thereafter
Through the chair?
with the correct photos.
That's
Commissioner
cor-
Johnson.
That's correct. I did receive that.
Anything else for staff? We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is the applicant here? Would you like to step forward and tell us about your project?
Good evening, commissioners and staff. I'm Alex Zhang, project manager for Gavas. Basically, this project is very straightforward. I try to draw up the plan, but pretty much if you see the last page of the drawing, there is essentially zero change to the existing usage. And understanding that the forklift repair is vacant, it's vacant, and we have very, very similar usage. On our exhibit, we have included a similarities of Harris Forklift, which was the existing business or the previous business, and us. We are essentially doing very, very similar stuff, minus the noise that they would produce because they have been banging all day, but we're very, very light auto repair, through minor collision and stuff. So I could go over and talk about the business, but only if you're interested and if you have any questions. But we see that the expansion over next door is a very good fit for the business and also for the neighborhood, because that would actually allow us to give more, to relieve the street parking from our already congested business right now. So I echo what Michael said. It actually helped alleviate introducing a new business in the area. So I think it's a win-win for the city.
Thank you very much. I did review your letter under Exhibit C, and I thought you did a very good job of breaking down the kind of intended use and so on and so forth. It was a good presentation in terms of talking us through it. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Thank you very much, sir. Is there anyone here from the public who would wish to comment on this project? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public hearing, bring this back to the commission.
Through the chair?
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes. I move that the Planning Commission approve use permit 17-007 based on the findings of facts 1 through 3 and conditions of approval 1 through 18.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. There is a 10-day appellate period before work can begin on your project. Thank you. Next agenda item is 6C, the CalTrans property at the northwest corner of San Bruno Avenue, West and Glenview Drive. Staff report, please.
Thank you and good evening. The item before the Planning Commission tonight is a temporary use permit request to allow off-site construction staging areas within the Crestmore neighborhood located at the northwest corner of San Bruno Avenue and Glenview Drive. The site is owned by the state of California and is currently leased by the Church of the Highlands. Traditionally and historically, the site has remained undeveloped. However, parking for recreation visitors has been provided at the southernmost portion of the site, and that continues to this day. Parking for recreation visitors is located on the south side of storage yard number 1. As the Planning Commission is aware, the rebuilding of the infrastructure within the Crestmore neighborhood has been ongoing since the explosion and fire. The subject site has been used as staging to support the ongoing infrastructure improvements within the Crestmore neighborhood since April of 2012. The San Bruno Municipal Code requires construction staging areas lasting up to 1 year with the temporary use permit from the Planning Commission. As you will recall, the Planning Commission has approved a number of temporary use permit requests over the past 5 years to accommodate the ongoing infrastructure improvements within the Crestmore neighborhood. If you turn to Exhibit D within your staff report, you'll see that there's 2 storage yards on the subject property. Storage yard number 1 is located to the south, is the southernmost storage yard, and storage yard number 2 is located along the northern portion of the site. Over the past 5 years, the Planning Commission has approved 7 different temporary use permits for storage yard 1 and storage yard 2, and I'll take you through those approvals very quickly. In April of 2012, the Planning Commission originally approved a temporary use permit for the area referred to as storage yard number 1 with an Exhibit D. In April of 2013, the original temporary use permit was extended for a 1-year period. In June of 2013, the Planning Commission approved a temporary use permit to expand the construction staging area to include the area referred to as storage yard number 2. In May of 2014 and May of 2015, the Planning Commission approved a request to extend the temporary use permit for storage yard 1 and 2 for another year. In May of 2016, the Planning Commission approved a temporary use permit for storage yard number 2 for an additional year. And lastly, in September of 2016, the Planning Commission approved a temporary use permit for the use of storage yard number 1 for an additional year. The current application is to allow for the continued use of storage yard number 1 and storage yard 2 for an additional year. The storage yards would be operated and conducted in the same manner as they have been the past 5 years. As indicated, the ongoing infrastructure improvements within the staff report indicates that the ongoing infrastructure improvements are anticipated to last throughout the calendar year of 2017. Given the schedule for infrastructure construction, staff anticipated having to return to the Planning Commission for temporary use permit renewal. However, in this particular case, this will most likely be the last time this application comes before the Planning Commission, as we expect construction-related activities within the Crestmore neighborhood to be wrapped up by the end of this year. The same conditions of approval will go forward with this project. I just want to highlight a few of those. Staff actually had an opportunity to conduct a site visit, and condition of approval number 11 requires a minimum of a 45-foot setback from the residential properties along Estates Drive, and a minimum of a 45-foot setback from the sidewalk along Glenview Drive. Portions of that area are covered with weeds right now, and condition of approval number 13 requires that the applicant shall keep that 45-foot setback area clear of weeds. The project manager has been informed of this, and some of the weeds actually have been removed. Additionally, I want to point out that along the south side of storage yard number 1, the fence has currently fallen down, and the material covering the fence has fallen off. So staff has added a condition of approval number 14, that requires the fence located on the south side of storage yard number 1 to be repaired and replaced, and all portions of the fence shall be screened. The property manager is aware of this and is coordinating with the contractor to address this matter. Overall, staff supports the temporary use permit request and recommends that the Planning Commission approve this request, subject to the findings and conditions of approval within the staff report. I'd be happy to answer any clarifying questions, and I'd also like to point out that Harry Burrows, the project manager, is here as well and can answer any specific related questions regarding the Crestmore infrastructure improvements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neubauer. Any questions for staff? Go ahead, open public hearing. Would the applicant like to speak to us about your project at all?
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Anyone from the public wishing to comment? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Chase.
See if I can get it straight this time. I'll make a motion to approve temporary use permit 17-004 based on findings of fact 1 through 3, conditions of approval 1 through 14.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, seeing none, the temporary use permit is approved. Moving along to the next item on our agenda, discussion, city staff discussion. We need some volunteers for the June 15th Architectural Review Committee.
Yes, we do. So we're looking for 3 volunteers, please.
Through the chair, I would just have a question. Do we have, on the previous ARC review, weren't we gonna have, were they coming back that month in June? I don't,
Perhaps Mr. Smith can clarify. I don't recall if they were going to be able to make it back in June.
Through the chair.
Mr. Smith? Yeah.
That item, it was the new construction of a industrial building on San Mateo Avenue, is that correct?
No, it was the new construction of the apartment building, I believe.
right.
Yes.
Oh, the apartment building.
Yes.
Right,
So
where the
500
old
Sylvan.
Yes.
No, that is not coming back.
That's not coming.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, volunteers, please. So,
Volunteer again.
okay, Vice Chair Chase, Chair Kayal, and Commissioner Biasotti. Thank you.
I'm happy to be a backup if something comes up.
Okay, great, thanks.
All right. Item 7B. Oh, sorry. 7A. Any further city staff discussion at this point?
No further discussion.
Thank you. Item 7B. Planning Commission discussion. Anything?
Through the
Have a
chair.
nice night.
Commissioner Petersen.
Can staff make any comment on Victory Motors? Are they doing any better on meeting the requirements of their permit?
The staff continues to work with the owners of Victory Honda to ensure that they comply with the conditions of approval, the conditional use permit conditions of approval. And my understanding is that they are making progress in terms of abiding by those conditions. It is an ongoing process for our staff to monitor and to ensure that their employees park on site or where they're designated to park, et cetera. So staff continues to monitor that operation and will continue to do so. We indicated to the commission that we would do that work and then report back to you in 6 months with kind of a formal review. But we are maintaining contact with the owners and trying to make sure that they abide by the conditions of approval.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Petersen.
So would it be fair to believe that it's not necessary to inquire about any status updates until 6 months from today?
Not necessarily. If you hear of a concern or complaint, please let us know. But our staff, planning staff and code enforcement staff have been instructed to observe and monitor and work with the property owner to ensure compliance with the conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything further under Planning Commission discussion? In that case, the next regular Planning Commission meeting will be held on June 6th at 7:00 p.m. at the Senior Center. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Whoa.